Welcome back to a new video. I know I have the same shirt on, but I was still playing. Went forward a little bit, we got to the draft. So before we go into and complete the draft, our team, not playing well. We're 12 games under 500. Our hitting, kind of close to top 10 in some, but our WAR is pretty low. Our pitching is not the best. So made some adjustments. We have Joey Cantillo in the starting rotation now. His ERA is quite high, but it was also even higher in the bullpen. But we took Jamie Berea down to AAA, and he accepted the assignment, so he is chilling down there. But we do have some positives of the season. So as we get closer to the trading deadline, Steven Kwan might be on the move with a 2.11 average in 75 games. He is certainly not playing up to par. And if we have someone like Hernandez here who is batting essentially the same, we're getting about the same amount of value from both of these players. Obviously, he has a lot less games played, but Jung-Ho Lee is also batting 244, so he's starting to kind of fall off. So our hitting, we definitely have areas that we can try to improve on. Big positive, though, is Chase DeLauder. He's been our DH this year. He is popping off, 306, 16 home runs. And then Manzardo, he's also batting well with 20 home runs, 285 average. George Valeria has been in the outfield, and he is up to 292 with 7 home runs. So he has been winning some awards as the season has moved on. Unfortunately, Angel Martinez is down to 2 stars now and has a 218 average. So he is struggling a little bit as well. And then we have brought up a different catcher instead of Cooper Ingle, Diego Cartaya, and he is batting about the same as Cooper Ingle. So we are not really improving in that category hardly at all. You see here with pitching, it's been pretty poor. I made some adjustments to the strategy to decrease or the pitch around. I need to make that more frequent. I think this is better to have this one up. I actually had it down towards never, so I believe this will help our pitching a little bit maybe, because I think I actually accidentally put it in a different way. But in general, I'm not really happy with where our team is right now. I'm kind of disappointed. I thought we would be performing a bit better. Matt McLean is still leading off our lineup, and he's just not batting that well, which is unfortunate. And then Jose Ramirez, 248. He's not batting too well either. So we really have like a couple of bright spots, but unfortunately, Bo Naylor is still like 237. He's just not really helping us out too much as far as hitting goes. But before I suppose we get to the draft as well, we can see what we can get for Steven Kwan. Unfortunately, he will be someone that is a fan favorite of players or a team, so probably get a message after we trade him if we end up doing that. But let's see if there's anything potentially beneficial for us. There's not really anything that's sticking out to me as far as something that would be really useful for us to kind of move the needle. We get a really old catcher. I mean, doesn't really help us that much in the long term. We can see if we get a prospect package of any sort. So we can get John Kinsey Noel back and this third baseman prospect, which is not really that useful for us. And so then we're kind of stuck to here. We can get some old people. We don't really need them. Yeah, there's just no one that's really kind of standing out with that. So what we will do then, again, before we get to the All-Star break, is we're going to move Angel Martinez to center field. See if he goes up to 3 or 2.5 stars. And we're going to set his game strategy, start him at center field. We're going to put Chase DeLauder in left field instead of designated hitter. So then we'll have George Valeria in right field, Chase DeLauder in right field, Chase DeLauder in left field, and then we will have Angel Martinez that will be in center. That should take Steven Kwan out of the starting lineup, which is ideal. This puts, for some reason, Hernandez as our DH, which we don't really need right now. I don't really want to put Rocchio as the DH. His average has dropped quite a bit. But what we could potentially do is look for someone that can come up just as a bat. So we'll demote him to AAA. We'll look down here to see if there's anyone that's really popping off. Looks like he is all the way, like I don't get how the game does this. It says like, oh, he's ready to go to the majors, and he has a 6.92 ERA in 10 games. Or that's for the major league, sorry, 3.12. But it will often say that for a guy that's pitching horrendously, be like, yeah, no, like, bring him up. He's great. He's doing fantastic. But Travis Bazania, he's batting 292. Juan Brito, 238. So it's like one of these guys we could potentially look to bringing up. Hernandez, I don't know. I knocked him down, but I don't really, because I guess he's only DHing once. So Jung-Ho Lee, he's back up to a 2.5 star. So he's kind of floating around there, which means we don't really need Angel to be in center field, but we could potentially still have him out there. So Angel, we're going to take off the game strategy, see what that does to our team. So then it puts Steven Kwan as a DH and Herbeto as that, which we kind of would rather. I don't mind having Angel sitting on the bench. So let's look at the draft now. Spend enough time messing with that. Auto till we get to us. Make sure we see all of the players, and we don't really necessarily have direct needs that we're always looking for in the draft. We're just always kind of looking for the best player available. So they want us to get this center fielder. Could potentially work out. I don't necessarily mind that, but there's also Gary Robertson. So that's what I usually kind of go for is middle infielders, unless there's, a few as 5 stars. But if we're scrolling down early in the draft, I think it's probably best to get, unless your team is really bad at pitching and you just need lots of pitchers, like these guys, they're solid. There's a lot of potential, 1.5 stars already, 5-star potential. So it's, someone that's potential. They might actually say that. They want us to actually get a catcher. Ashley is kind of crazy potential with everything, with hitting wise. So Ashley wouldn't necessarily mind this. So we're actually going to grab him and then hope that one of those pitchers is up there. Unfortunately, the 1.5 star guys got picked up, but see if they want us to actually grab one of these pitchers. So David Silvestre, which is very interesting because this is the name of a doctor in my area. And just keep looking for a good guy. So like here, it's like a first baseman. He's 6'8", which is hilariously large. But he's not really going to be useful besides first and the outfield, and his power is okay. I don't necessarily mind this pick, but this is where you kind of look around to see. It's like, all right, we have this guy, he's just going to cost more money. I think sometimes the game does undervalue players when they are asking for more money, which is not a big deal for me. So, and then he's still available as well. So I wouldn't mind picking him up here unless one of these other guys has a little bit more potential. He is durable, but his potential is a little bit less. He is a switch hitter as well. But does he throw right? So he throws right as well. So I think we will go with him. And then we'll see if Jeremy Alcantara is still available. So we could grab him as well. So kind of breaking the rule. But it's like first basemen typically aren't as valuable as other positions for the simple fact that they don't have the potential to play a lot of different useful positions. If you get someone that can play in the middle infield, typically they can play everywhere in the field. And same with like outfielders, like they might be okay at hitting, but they typically won't be able to learn all the infield positions. Infielders can learn outfield. Outfielders cannot learn infield as a general rule of thumb for when you're picking players. Shortstops are almost always good to pick up. So then I don't know why they would want. He's just good at contact, but it's just not to me very worth it. We can grab someone like this Jesse guy for whatever reason too. He's fragile as well, but I mean throw him in there. Malachi Jones. I know relief pitchers typically aren't the best, but he has 40 stamina as well, and he's older. I typically like to go for the younger players. just because they have more time to develop. But 23 years old. So now kind of when you get later in the draft, you're just looking for anyone that's younger with any sort of potential. And typically once I get to this point, so there's no one else with above 2-star potential, I let the AI handle that. It's only for a couple of picks, but sometimes you just don't have that many that are available for that. So we'll go ahead and get these couple of guys signed. We didn't get any impossible signings, which just means that you'll have to offer them a lot of money, which if your budget's really tight could be an issue, but we don't really have an issue with our budget. So looking at our lineup again before we start simulating again, Matt McLean still struggling a little bit. Gabriel Arias is playing really well at short. Chase DeLauder was playing really well at DH. We moved him over to left field. So we got Quan as our DH against right-handed hitters and Herberto against left-handed hitters. So curious to see how that works out. See if our overall gets a little bit better. So Hunter Green is injured. So, I mean, we can just bring him back up. Let the AI handle the rotation. So Reese he's perpetually hurt, although his injury proneness is normal. The last time he came off the IL, he immediately got hurt again, which is kind of obnoxious. Our pitching is we probably drop Nick down to AAA, bring Reese back up. We will have Hunter Green back pretty soon, but we need to start playing better. We need to get back to 500. We typically need to get to about 85 wins to have a chance to make the playoffs. If you can get to that, you typically are in the playoffs. I have gotten to that record and not made the playoffs, so it can be hit or miss with that sort of thing. So we're going to look at our lineup to see if there's anyone that we can drop down. Unfortunately, Angel Martinez is not playing that well as you would hope. Steven Kwan is batting really poorly as well, but that was kind of the thing before. So we're going to go ahead and drop him down in anticipation of Hunter Green being able to come back in. Let Angel do some work at AAA. Hopefully, we don't need to bring him back up. Hopefully everyone else plays well. I mean, that's always the hope. And then that looks like, as I say that, looks like George Valeria is going to be on the IL for a little bit. So Angel might be coming right back up. Jason Trio looks like he is developing quite well. So we're going to go ahead and bring him up and hope that he can pop off when he's up there. So he is already up at 3.5-star potential. And he's a really good outfielder already. I believe his speed is pretty good as well. I don't know why you want these players. We get just a mid-level. I mean, honestly, I'm fine with that. I don't really need the reliever, though. All right, so we got to look for a pitching coach really fast. We're going to go ahead and just make a large offer. I've never had an issue with offering coaches large contracts and that impacting my budget, so I don't know if it's even calculated in your budget. I don't even really want him on our team, but he is 3 stars. That's actually a pretty good trade, to be honest. Most trades are like really unfair, but sometimes they're like crazy beneficial. But I guess that team is just really desperate for a catcher. So we're 10 games under 500 at the trading deadline, which is, not good. We do have firing turned off, though, because that's something I just don't want to worry about, because I am active. Obviously I'm not trying to throw. I am trying to win games, but I just don't want to be worrying about the owner just randomly getting the desire to fire me, because I am trying to make the team as good as possible. So now we do actually have Raciel Iglesias, who dropped a little, or no, I think he was like this in the free agency. So then we can look at our bullpen again. Matt Brash is really struggling this year, so we can't trade him at this point. So we got to drop Joey Cantillo down. So, I mean, because he's 36, we're not gonna throw him into the into into an assignment. Juan Brito, he is not developing, unfortunately. He had some time at the major league level, but he unfortunately is dropped down to 2-star potential, so we don't mind risking him in waivers. So our team's slowly getting back to 500. Thankfully, nobody claimed him because I do like Juan Brito. We are slowly working our way back up. Let's see if there's anyone that's... Reese is just batting or pitching horrendously, but he's been injured a lot. 5.21 is not good whatsoever. Let's see if there's anyone that we could... Can we drop him down to AAA? Okay. So we can do that. So we're going to look here, and nobody's really doing that great. Besides, I mean, we keep bringing him up and down. So maybe he'll actually stick up at the majors for a bit. We'll have to see. But we need to get back to 500. We need to do it. So Griffin Jax is actually in our starting rotation, which is interesting. I actually don't mind that too much. We're still 5 games under 500, so we really got to make it up. I mean, it's 6 games under 500, 5.4 ERA in AAA. So he's been pitching better in AAA than he did at the majors. A lot of these guys are just kind of stink. So we can bring Reese up. I don't even mind if he gets back into the starting rotation. And then we can bring Angel back up because he is batting .317 in the minors. It is good to always have a lot of decent pitchers in your AAA system because pitchers tend to get hurt a lot. So it's nice to kind of have a bunch of them just kind of chill in there. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's going to matter for this season because our team is just not winning enough games. Like, we're 5.5 games out, but it just seems like we just don't have the potential to get up there. So Jason Turrio, like, he's been a good bright spot. Like, I feel like in our next season, we'll have a ton of success. Like, we might just be one season away. There is always the potential that we win a bunch of games in a row, but I'm not going to hold my breath for that. Because, yeah, I just don't think we have it. We're just not there this year. So look at our pitching. Yeah, Tanner Bybee. Like, our pitching has just been really struggling. So hopefully with a full year with a change of strategy, it will help our team be a little bit better. But really disappointing. Like, Steven Kwan batting only .219. Like, that's just... It's not what you want to see at all. It is nice to have George back, but I think it's too little too late. If we finish above 500, though, that would be nice, but it doesn't look like we are. We might finish with exactly the same record as we had last year, which does happen a lot in this game, which is kind of funny. You will finish the same record multiple years in a row on a pretty frequent basis. So yeah, we're on pace to be 80 and 82 again. Still 4 games out. There we go. We're eliminated. So we actually are going to finish above 500. So I guess, in a sense, we improved. We get through the playoffs and then look at our team. So I think next year, though, we'll have, honestly, a really good team because we got Churio up. Our outfield's going to be mashing as long as they all continue to be healthy. But I think George Valera, however you say his name, I think he might have to be our DH because he is fragile, and we have a lot of other outfielders. So the Dodgers have won the first 2 World Series in this file, which I suppose is realistic. We didn't try to re-sign any of our coaches. That's typically how I approach it, is that I don't really go through and fire anyone other than people that are on the... I don't really care about Ben Lively, to be honest. He pitched 1 game this year, and he had a 5 ERA last year. So, but no, of course we can't be fired, so our contract will always be extended. So yeah, I typically don't go through like the whole system to fire all the coaches. You can do that, but it's not really that I don't really like spending all the time doing it. Plus, then as you go through it, when coaches' contracts run out for like that first batch, then it'll just make life easier. And also, when you are searching like this, you want to go with the same kind of coach, so pitching coach in this case, and go through an offer. Because if you switch to a different kind of manager or a hitting coach in this case, then it will unsort it properly. But if you go how I'm doing it right now, it will stay sorted in the way that you have now. So and then if I go down to single A, you kind of see that it will stay sorted by the best. For me, I'm going by pitching, who can teach pitching the best. And sometimes you'll notice that some pitchers or some coaches will not want to be coaches at different levels, especially the lower ones. So you do have to pay attention to that to make sure you're trying to get the highest level coach that you can. Sometimes it's passable to get good coaches at every level. Sometimes it's not. But I have found with the strategy of just letting contracts kind of run out and just filling them as they open up, that you typically can get some pretty good coaching at most levels. It is quite annoying to be offering like 10 contracts like this, because there will be inevitably one person that is like, I want more money, and you just have to keep offering them more money. And then sometimes you can offer them like 4 times the amount of what they asked for, and they just won't sign. So you'll just perpetually won't have them, or won't be able to get them. And so we have a lot of people that we could potentially be looking to move on from. So I like to look at this page, the salary arbitration page, and look for players that we potentially want to trade. Unfortunately, we didn't have him for a playoff run. He did pitch pretty decent for us, so we could potentially offer him a contract extension. So we don't have a ton of money here. So what we're going to try to do is go into the salary arbitration and look for people that we potentially aren't interested in bringing back. So Stephen Kwan is definitely there, 219. He's going to cost $10 million next year. And we have like 8 outfielders that are going to be beneficial for us. So unfortunately, it doesn't seem like there's going to be anyone that's interested in him. So we're just going to go ahead and withdraw the offer, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. We will probably honestly keep Ryan Rocchio. I mean, he batted 268 last year in 97 games. So his batting average improved. He wasn't a starter for us, but same with Gabriel Arias. His batting average went up as well. So that part was a positive. Matt McLean ended up batting 260. So like our middle infield core is pretty good. Bo Naylor only batted 224, but it's really hard to find a good hitting catcher. It's kind of obnoxious to find one, to be honest. And like Reese here, he just didn't pitch well for us at any point. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can actually trade him. Because if you're going to withdraw, it's always good to just look to see what's available trade-wise before you just go ahead and dump them. Because sometimes you'll be able to get someone that's pretty decent. And so then as we are looking down, kind of like to do a first pass here. So we could potentially look for someone like this. But I mean, that's not really someone that we necessarily need, a 35-year-old reliever, especially if we're going to offer the one guy, I forget his name, that we just had. So we can look around. He's a younger reliever, but not really. And so he's someone that we could potentially look at just to get another catcher. Mason Miller, that's actually a crazy find. I don't know why they want to trade him, but we're going to go ahead and make this trade without even thinking about it, trying to get more money for them. And then we can look at salary arbitration. He'll probably, where is he at? Yeah, he's in there, but I mean, it's pretty solid catcher, so we can't go, relief pitcher, so certainly can't go wrong with that. We could potentially look to move on for someone like Matt Brash, now that we have Mason Miller to kind of fill in the void, and see if we can get What is his contract? He's got a 5-year contract. It's kind of crazy. But so someone like this could be decent to sit in the minors. I mean, he's 23-year-old, decent potential as a shortstop. Can never really have enough shortstop sitting in middle infield type players sitting there. Matt Shaw, that's someone I'm actually very interested in. So we'll look down. If we don't see anyone else that's crazy good, then we'll go ahead and just grab Matt Shaw. So I'm not really seeing anyone that's really popping off the page for me. So he has shorter information for 6 more weeks, but he doesn't, looks like he's had a lot of injuries, 4 games, 5 games. So it doesn't seem like he's pitched a lot. So we're going to go back up to the Cincinnati Reds and take a good player from them. Kind of a steal, I would say. So we'll go ahead and trade for that. We haven't been remembering to add money into these trades. So I do need to remember to do that. We could look to trade Brian Rocchio. He's kind of at probably a high amount of value now. Somebody would probably want him to be able to start at shortstop. For whatever reason, Arizona does not like Giraldo. There'll always be teams that will sign people to long contracts and then will always offer them up in every single trade you ever do, which is kind of hilarious. So it's like the game really doesn't value high monetary contracts. They immediately want to get rid of them off their books. Now, what we could do here, so Brian Rocchio is probably not going to start for us. We do have Angel Martinez that will hopefully be able to take that step up. This will probably be the most value that we'll be able to get from him. He'll probably only get worse at this point. So we can look to actually make this trade. He's an older second base or a catcher, but we can look to get some more money into our budget. And go ahead and throw him another player potentially. Looks like good old Billy Carlson is playing pretty well. I think sometimes, yeah, he's actually a pitcher as well. So he actually has decent potential as a two-way player. I do remember having a save where he actually made it up to the majors as a two-way player. But sometimes when they do that, they really are bad at, usually pitching. It was the case. I had 2 players that were both like really low-level pitchers. But it's a free pitcher on your roster, so it's hard to say no, even if they're bad. In theory, it would be good because then they can have mop-up duty and stuff like that, and it's just kind of like built into your roster. So we went ahead and made that trade that allowed us to get some more money here. So now we're able to probably re-sign some of these guys. So look up here and see if there's anyone like Griffin Jax is someone that we could potentially move off of. He didn't pitch terribly, but like 397, you potentially, we'll see if we can afford all these guys. We'll see what Joe Jimenez wants. So 3 years, 9. We'll give him 2 years. We don't mind that. And then Trevor, we can bring back as well for 3 years. And see if he will accept the 10 million. 12 seems a little bit too much. So now that we have these 3 guys offered, we could potentially offer him as well. What's he want? 10 million? Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that. So then we can look at Griffin Jax, potentially see what he is offering. We don't have any more trades available for us on this day, so we might have to move forward today. But we can look here to see what is available. Daniel Espinozo, we traded him. He's always good to trade to get rid of because he will forever be hurt. So, elbow, finger blistered twice, shoulder strain, that torn rotator. I mean, he literally, I've only ever seen him become a decent pitcher twice in all of the different files that I've had. And every single other one, his arm explodes every 2 weeks. It's unfortunate, but it is kind of realistic because in real life, he has been injured multiple times for season-long injuries. So I saw that guy up there. I believe it was the Cubs. Yeah, so I believe that we'll go ahead and trade with him. They have a lot of money, so what we'll do is just throw a random player on there. And we start at 80 million. And that's how you can get a lot of extra money. You can work the system to just get the money. So here it's we could trade a really good player and get $80 million, which sometimes if you're really stuck you really need a lot of cash, you could potentially do that. But what this tells me is that they are interested in dumping some of their cash. You can get really in the nitty gritty. I try not to really worry too much about that. So Khalil Watson, he's down to 2 stars. First base is typically where he has the highest potential at, but we could also trade Milan Tolentino, but he did pay pretty well in AAA and in there. So we're gonna go ahead and trade Khalil Watson. I mean, for $40 million, we do have that. So now we have enough money, and you can really manipulate the money in this game to sign a bunch of free agents and stuff. But what it does is the money resets. I don't know why it does this, but the money resets every year. So if you get, say, $100 million in cash, you can sign a bunch of free agents, but then you will have negative $1 gazillion the next year. So what I typically use this for is for the re-signing of players, and then not try to manipulate it too hard. That's fine. I'm not going to fight you too hard, David Bendar. And not use it for free agency typically, unless it's like one player, but you can really load up your team with a bunch of really good free agents, but then you will just never have money. So it's really good for like a one and done run, but it will destroy your team's finances forever, or for a long while. So we're gonna just go ahead, even though they don't have higher potential anymore. I actually don't want to re-sign him to a minor or major league contract. So if I can give him a minor league contract, we will see if we can re-sign them, unless they're really old, in which case we don't need to worry about re-signing them. He is down, yeah, so he's unfortunately not developing. Let's go ahead and do this, and this will be the last thing we do for this video as well. So even though they don't have a ton of potential, these guys, I'm sure we can at least throw them into the minors and let them fight it out there. So looking at our team, we can go here, get these guys into our main roster. Matt Shaw, we can throw into here. And then everyone else we shouldn't be too worried about. We actually have, we should be all right. So as far as that goes, another video down. So a little bit longer than 30 minutes, but just wanted to kind of end on a decent note. So with that being said, I'll talk to you on the next one. I hope you have a great day. Peace.